Hearing you've won a Nobel is incredible for most people. For some, it just spoils their sleep. In previous experience, the only phone calls at that time of night are bad news, he said. This one was great news. The opening sentence from the caller was, "The Nobel Committee has voted to award you the Nobel Prize in Physics. Do you accept?" Peebles recalled. The wording threw him. Who wouldn't accept a Nobel Prize? The fiasco Peebles mentions refers to the 2016 Nobel Prize in Literature, which was controversially given to an utterly unimpressed Dylan. Sweden appears on my phone, and I look at her, she looks at me, and I run out of the coffee shop to the street. You know, that was amazing. It was very special. I will never forget, he told reporters on Wednesday after his victory was announced. It can also be far less celebratory. I was lying in bed, and my wife woke up and heard my phone buzzing. And she yelled at me because my phone was waking her up. David Macmillan, who shared the prize with List, told BBC Radio 4 on Thursday. And for some, the sudden ascension to Nobel laureate is an unwanted intrusion altogether. "Oh Christ," British Zimbabwean author Doris Lessing said when reporters arrived outside her house to inform her she had won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 2007. "I'm sure you'd like some uplifting remarks of some kind."
What it's like to win a Nobel Prize. Few Nobel winners can honestly say their lives weren't changed when they received the phone call. As long as they believe it, that is. These days you get these cold calls, and I thought this is another one of them. Abdul Razak Gurna, the winner of this year's Literature Prize, told the BBC on Thursday. "This guy said, 'Hello, you have won the Nobel Prize for Literature,' and I said, 'Come on, get out of here. Leave me alone,'" Gurna said. "He talked me out of that, and gradually persuaded me." Winners often can't be contacted at all, leaving them to find out about their wins from the news, their family, or even their next-door neighbors. Economist Paul Milgrom was woken in the middle of the night in California by his colleague Robert Wilson banging on his front door. "Paul, it's Bob Wilson. You've won the Nobel Prize," he shouted into the intercom. "Yeah, I have." "Well," an utterly confused Milgrom responded, in an exchange captured by a doorbell camera. Genzel's phone call came while he was in a Zoom meeting with colleagues last October. "I had absolutely no inkling," he said. "I thought, my God, obviously this is a fantasy." The committee's secretary told him he couldn't say anything for 15 or 20 minutes, so Genzel tried his best to keep the news to himself. "I walked over to our meeting room, told me afterwards I was stumbling in there, slightly gazed, telling them to switch on the TV," he said. Malala Yousafzai, the youngest Nobel winner at 17, was midway through a chemistry lesson at a school in Birmingham, England, when a teacher interrupted to tell her she had won, she told Reuters. She later told Vogue that she modestly left the achievement off her university applications, because she felt a bit embarrassed. But there are occasions, too, where the winner isn't quite as thrilled as the Nobel Committee might imagine. Dylan and Ernest Hemingway both skipped the Nobel's annual banquet. The latter made a point of telling the Swedish Academy that he had no facility for speech-making and no command of oratory, but arguably it was Lessing who had the most memorable reaction. She learned of her win as she stepped out of a taxi on the way back from the grocery store. "Have you heard the news? You've won the Nobel Prize for Literature," an enthusiastic reporter told her. Her eyes rolled back in her head before the journalist had even finished his sentence. Asked how she felt, she expressed little enthusiasm. "Look, I've won all the prizes in Europe, every bloody one. Am I supposed to get excited, or elated, or what?" she remarked. "One can't get more excited than one gets, you know. I was treated like a rock star as soon as Genzel's win was announced last year. His face was on televisions around the world." The announcement of a Nobel Prize winner makes the front pages of newspapers and websites almost everywhere. throwing a sudden spotlight on little-known scientists and their complex research. Once the announcement is made, you lose your identity within half an hour, Genzel said. The telephone rings all the time. Peebles had a similar experience just minutes after his early morning phone call. When I returned to bed, my wife said, "What was that about?" I said Nobel Prize, and she said, "Oh God." Within minutes, the couple had a photographer outside their door. Genzel suddenly found himself answering questions about politics on late-night German TV, angering some of his friends with his responses. Peebles, meanwhile, spent much of the day looking through emails from every corner of the world. "Please come visit us. Please read my manuscript." It's one thing to say that the Nobel Prizes attract attention. It's another to experience it, he said. But before the COVID-19 pandemic scuppered plans for 2 years in a row, winners were also treated to a gala in Stockholm. "I was treated like a rock star. I experienced what I expect rock stars to experience," Peebles said of his banquet in 2019. "It's a wonderful honor. My attach had an almost endless list of things to do," he added. "Now you must meet these influential people. Now you must go to a news conference. Now we will have dinner with some important people." And on and on. Genzel missed out on the festivities last year, but he enjoyed a low-key affair in Germany. "The governor of Bavaria offered us his residence. We had a fairly nice event with the Swedish ambassador," he said. But for both men and many other laureates, the most exciting part of the Nobel experience is simply that it gets people talking about science and culture. "I find it almost a necessity to tell the public at large that there is truth. There is absolute truth," Genzel said. "What I hope is understood is the importance of the Nobel Prize in making people aware of the importance of curiosity-driven science," or what he said. "I think it must be unique."
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe